You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about how to communicate effectively. We all want to know how to do that, right? We want to make sure that our thoughts, our concerns, even our excitement, the time when we are just excited in life, we want to be able to share that with people. But how do you do that effectively? How do you get your message across? We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be taking your calls. Again, the number to call in is 800-333-0001, 800-333-0001. So if you're looking to strengthen your communication skills, definitely give us a call. Tell us what's going on, and we'll put together a strategy for you so you can communicate effectively. Also, we're going to have our inspirational guest, Amelia Joubert, coming up in our next segment. She's going to talk about having dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personalities. It's a very amazing story and one that you don't want to miss. And also, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions or you need resources from today's show, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. That's connect@livingfullout.com. And also, if you have an inspirational story that you feel would be great for our audience and would motivate us all, we want to hear from you. That email address is connect@livingfullout.com, connect@livingfullout.com. Also, you can go and listen to today's episode and all of our shows by going to livingfullout.com. You'll just click on the radio show tab, and then all of our episodes will be waiting for you. Now, let's jump into the show, and let's communicate effectively. How do we do that? So I get word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi, welcome to the show. I'm good. How can we help you today?
I just have a question, I guess, about moving in with my boyfriend. He's coming. We've been long distance for 4 years, and we're finally moving in together. So I'm just a little nervous, and I was wondering if you could help me with that.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick. What makes you nervous?
I guess just about actually being together after being apart for so long. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure each of you kind of had your own personal space. You both gave each other 110% of your time when you were together, but then when you weren't together, you're able to do all those little secret single things that we do, behind the scenes. I think it would be really good to kind of lay down some ground rules, perhaps. So I'm sure you've had arguments before when you were together. But what happens when an argument occurs? And look at your past. Look at how each of you have behaved, and see now with you living together, leaving, going to each other's different apartments, or one going long distance to another location is not going to work. So how do you handle conflict? How are you also going to handle the home chores, right? Dishes, cleaning, laundry, you name it. Now, personally, I love doing laundry. I love it. So pick something that you love. Some people love doing dishes, believe it or not. They like, making things clean. Other people hate, putting dishes in the dishwasher, you name it. Figure out what each of you like. And if neither of you are really good at it, you might consider getting a housekeeper. Again, outsourcing things to make your relationship easier. The other thing that I would also do is try to make sure that even though you're blending your two worlds and you're blending all of your personal belongings and all of that, that you try to make this your place. So it might mean that each of you get rid of things and buy some new furniture together. It might mean that you have to get a storage unit, just not to make things cluttered, just really make it a beautiful, harmonious zone. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't even thought of that.
But, it all comes down to just talking it out. just talking it out, and you're going to figure things out along the way. Trust me, I've lived with a lot of different boyfriends in my time, and each time I learned something different about myself, like where I needed to be a little bit more protective with my time and where I needed to be, a little bit more giving. And I think you'll learn that as well. So just have fun. Yeah. This is so exciting. What a new chapter. So just go out there, live full out. Excited. Yeah, enjoy it. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
You got it. So again, perfect. She's going to communicate effectively with how she can talk to her boyfriend and figure out how to make all these different waves in their ocean work together. And it's going to be such an exciting journey. So we're excited for her. We're actually going to go back to the phone lines now. We have another caller standing by. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hello, welcome.
Hey.
Hi. Tell me, how can we help you today?
I have a question. Yeah. Most of my friends are going to school in September, but I want to take the semester off and start school in December because I have yet found which type of art I have the most passion for. Is that wise? I don't want to feel left out.
Well, you know what? You kind of got multiple things going on in this question, and I want to acknowledge all of them. So the thing is I can appreciate when you don't know what you really want to do. It's kind of like, gosh, am I going to go and just waste money on classes that I don't know what I want to do? And but what I want you to look at is nothing in life is ever a waste if you're learning. And a lot of times you can jump in and take some of those pre courses that you need to take, to satisfy getting a BA or a BS or whatever it might be, a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. So maybe there's some courses that you can take early so that you can still be a part of what your friends are doing and still not miss out on that experience. The other thing too is sometimes you just have to take classes to figure out what you want to do. So if you don't take a class and you don't experience that, I don't know that if that's going to help you further your direction. Now, if any of this comes down to it being a financial thing where financially you can't afford to go or something like that, well, then we have to look at that separately because, obviously school is not free. So, that would be something you have to save to do or get a loan to do. But if I was giving you from my heart to yours, my best advice, I would say go for it. Like, I don't want you to miss out on the learning. It's not, and there is the time that you're going to have with your friends and that special time too. But I just remember in my life, I learned as I kind of went through life. As I took classes, as I took webinars or workshops or got coaching. All of that taught me things. So if you don't engage in that learning, I don't know if you're going to figure out that answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I might.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, here's one other thing. One other thing I want to put out there to you, because as you're trying to figure out what you want to do, which again, I completely respect, what I would do is I would find either through LinkedIn or in your local area, a couple of different professionals that do what you want to do, or maybe do a variation of things that you're considering. And I would call them up, have a 30-minute call. Where did they go to school? What did they study? How did they figure out what they wanted to do? And what are they doing today? And what do they wish they had known before they got into it? And just interview them. Or if they're in your local area, meet them at a Starbucks, take them out to coffee. But there's a lot of information you can learn from just talking to someone or job shadowing them. Again, things that could just expand your opportunities.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in. So, again, perfect example of where he's just trying to express, how do I figure out what I want to do in my life? I love that he asked the question of, should I go to school or should I not? Because there's going to be shouldas in life. There's going to be couldas we wish we had in life. All we have is the here and now. We don't have the guarantee of tomorrow. We also can't necessarily take back and reclaim the past. All you have is now, and you want to make sure that you capitalize on that you get the learning, you nourish relationships. There's so much that we can do with today, but the only way that we can relish in today, the only way that we can live full out is if we're really willing to put ourselves out there, to learn things, to grow. And that all comes down to, again, communicating effectively, communicating to maybe friends or family, hey, these are the goals that I'm looking to do. What do you think? Do you think I could be good at that? Or expressing yourself to your partner or a friendship. Hey, this kind of concerns me, or I'm a little nervous or scared about this. Just being vulnerable with people. I think so oftentimes we try to quote, quote, look good. We try to play the part. We try to have all the answers, be perfect, be people pleasers, yada, yada, yada. It goes on and on and on. But what does that get us? That just gets us being exhausted. And so rather than being exhausted, you want to go ahead and put yourself out there. Grab your life with both hands, not just a pinky finger, with both hands, and go for it. So throughout the show, think about where in your life you need to communicate more effectively to people in your life, to maybe teachers, other professionals, or maybe to yourself. When we come back, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Amelia Joubert, and her story not only is inspiring and just amazing, the life that she's walked. It's one not to miss. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and we will be right back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Let's make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
It's not what I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And
then nothing. Ha 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 ha. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes Sometimes I do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. A professional motivational speaker, Nancy can help you overcome obstacles and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about how to communicate effectively. And wherever you are in your life, that will dictate where it is that you need to strengthen those skills. Sometimes it's with your partner in your life, your family, maybe a business professional. Sometimes it's within ourselves. Like, how do we sort out what we want for ourselves, the negative self-talk, or healing the past, or our hopes for the future? And I want to bring in now our inspirational guest, Amelia Joubert. Her story is just, honestly, it's inspiring, and it's also amazing to me because she has dissociative identity disorder. It was previously known as multiple personality. And I think for so many of us, that's a journey we've never walked. And with those different personalities, how did she bring order to that? How did she figure them out? How did she meet them? So many questions I have, but really stay tuned and listen really closely, because within her story, she shows how she communicated effectively to all the different personalities. So I very much like to welcome Amelia to the show.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, before we jump into your story and kind of where it all began, can you share with our community what dissociative identity disorder is and just what that entails?
So dissociative identity disorder is a dissociative disorder that comes from trauma. So basically, when a child goes through trauma at a young age, and they can't always handle all that trauma that's going on, they separate parts of their identity in order to keep that trauma separate, in order to protect them and have the ability to grow up and be able to function in a more normal way than we would be able to if we had to deal with all that trauma as a whole.
And your journey starts with having experienced trauma. What can you share with us at what age you were?
It started around 2 or 3 that I'm aware of, and it went on to, I believe, 6 or 7 years old.
Okay, and just not without going into the details, but what was the trauma that you encountered?
I went through childhood sexual abuse, and I was younger.
And you were younger, okay. And already for anybody at any age, sexual abuse is one that we have to sort out and heal from, yet alone being as young as you were. Now, as you know, at 2, at 6, you're growing up, and as kids, we have our different friends anyway, right? We have different playmates, sometimes real playmates, and sometimes in our head anyway. So what was it? When did you start to realize these different personalities? At what age were you?
Well, for a long time, I thought that maybe it was just something that a lot of people dealt with. And then as I got older, I realized that not everybody did have these other people in their head helping them or talking to them. And I thought maybe I had ghosts in my head, because that's really the only explanation I could think of. I didn't really know about what dissociative identity disorder was. And then when I was 15, that's when I finally learned what dissociative identity disorder was.
And what was the aha moment for you? Did you read something and you said, oh, that's me? Or were you in therapy, or how did you identify that?
I was in therapy, and one of the therapists, she identified me with having dissociative identity disorder after going to a few different sessions, and she asked me some questions, and it just kind of made sense, and she gave me some information to read, and I finally was able to figure out what was going on.
Okay, and that must have been actually a relieving moment for you, or was it scary when you started to figure that out?
It was a little bit of both. It was relieving because I finally had an answer for what was going on, an answer that made sense to me more than anything else that I had ever thought of before. But at the same time, I was just at the beginning of processing that I had gone through trauma, and having this disorder meant I really did have to accept the fact that I went through trauma and that I dealt with some things that I wasn't really wanting to accept or deal with at that time.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I mean, you just want to go back and hug that 2-year-old or that 6-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And now you're dealing with learning about these new personalities. And if you could share with me, what is the right term? I want to make sure that we all are educated with you. Do we call them personalities, or what do you call them?
Well, it really depends on the person with DID. Some people call them different things, but the most common one is alters, and some people call them parts. Some people just call them their others or their inner family. Some people call them their other identities. It really depends on the person, but I specifically refer to them as my alters.
As your alters. And how many alters do you have?
I have, including myself, I have 12 alters.
You have 12 alters. Okay. And what do you call you as a group? Are you a family? What do you call the group of you?
We call each other, or we're known as a system, and that's a term that many people with dissociative identity disorder use, is the word system to describe everybody as a group. But again, some people use inner family, some people use the gang, like different things. But we specifically use the word system.
Okay, and there's 12 of you. And so who are the 12? What ages are they?
So our youngest is Tina, and she's 4 years old. And it goes all the way up to our oldest, who's John, and he's 24. Mm-hmm. And we have pretty much quite a few in between. We have 4 children who are Tina, Snake, Kay, and Aaliyah. And then we have the older people who are Blossom, Ryder, Ahina, Jax, me, Scarlett, and John. Wow, amazing. And you're the host of the family? Yes. Okay, of the system. I'm the host, which means I'm a host along with Scarlett, which means the two of us are out the most, in control of the body the most compared to everyone else. Okay. And I know Scarlett and you have different personalities, obviously, and we're going to get more into that. But are you able to come out when you want to come out? I mean, there's just so many questions that I think most people would have about, how does one personality take the lead, and how when another one comes out, and just kind of the mechanics of how all of you share your time. And so when we come back, we're going to be going to a break. So if you can just kind of stay with us, we want to learn more about your alters. We want to know, what system do you all have for how you come out to the world, how you are around other people. So stay tuned with us, and everybody, honestly, her story gets even better with just learning about these alters. So this is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and we will be right back after this break.
Listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a trusted life coach, Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about communicating effectively. We all want to be able to communicate our thoughts, our feelings, our passions, our desires, our concerns. But how do you do that? How do you find the right words? And in our inspirational guest, Amelia Joubert today, in her case, she has alters. She has dissociative identity disorder. So how does she communicate effectively with those alters? I'd like to bring Amelia back to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
Absolutely. So you were sharing with us in the last segment that you have these 12 alters. And how do you communicate with them? How does one take the lead? How does all that work?
Well, at the beginning, I wasn't able to communicate with my alters as well as I can now. I did start to do it when I started going to therapy. Through the suggestion of my therapist, I started to use a journal. And I wrote in that journal things that I wanted them to know, and then they had the ability to write in that journal when they were in control of my body, things that they wanted me to know. And that gave us a chance to communicate. And then through therapy, we've been able to meet each other and communicate just like through talking and face to face inside of my mind.
And I love that. I'm so glad that you found that method, because even if someone doesn't have alters, even if you're just talking to your parents, right, we need to find the right way to communicate. And I'm so glad you did that with the journal. Now, there is one other alter that comes out as much as you do. And who is she?
That's Scarlett.
Scarlett, okay. And how are you and Scarlett similar, and how are you different?
From what I understand, me and Scarlett are a lot more similar than a lot of the other alters. She's a little harder to tell apart from me than a lot of my other alters, but she's definitely more outgoing, so she is able to usually handle large crowds and things that I'm not always able to handle due to my anxiety of those types of things.
Well, and it's interesting because you both go to school, and perhaps you each take different classes that one might be better at than another. And so that kind of makes it helpful, useful.
Yeah,
perhaps, right?
Yeah, she's definitely better at math than I am, and I'm better at English. So we have our strengths and weaknesses.
And I like that, because when we consider dissociative identity disorder and we consider having these alters, like that's a positive way in which you can work with your alters to really maximize the life experience. I know I'm not good at math, so I wish I had her in my life. So that you're very lucky in that way. Now, how do you handle dating?
It's still a process that we haven't definitively made a decision on. But how we've considered it is if I was to date someone and Scarlett was to date someone, and those people were to know about each other with full disclosure from everybody, that could be a possibility. Or maybe if we were to date someone else with DID, then I could date an alter in that system and Scarlett could. Or just there's a lot of different variables and different possibilities, and I think that we can't really put a definitive decision on what we would do until we actually come into that situation, if that makes sense.
It does. Now, I'm just curious, could you date the same people? I mean, could you date the same person or no?
Probably not, due to the fact that I'm a lesbian and Scarlett's more attracted to males
okay.
and like guys. And she doesn't really define her sexuality. She used to say she was straight, but she doesn't really define her sexuality. However, usually the people that I'm attracted to, she's not attracted to, and vice versa. So
okay, so it's that's not an option. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when we look at, right now in the world, there's mass communication, there's movies, there's TV shows, obviously Split, different ones that you've heard of that deal with demonstrating people who are going through dissociative identity disorder. Do you feel like they hit the mark, that they illustrate it the right way or not?
I feel like a lot of them don't. There is a few that do give a pretty good representation. However, it's usually pretty over-exaggerated, such as the United States of Terra. I felt like that was an over-exaggerated representation, but it was a lot better than most of them out there. And it was somebody with DID was actually brought in to consult about that show. And so I was pretty happy with that representation, but representations such as Split are not very accurate. Obviously, they're made to entertain, but they do put DID in a negative light.
Got it. And when you have your dreams, your goals, we talk a lot about that here at Living Full Out, really going for life in a big way. Do you feel like with your alters, it helps you, it allows you to advance and evolve the way that Amelia, the way that you want to? Or do you feel like it kind of limits you and you have to just kind of make do with what you have?
That can be, sometimes it can be helpful. Sometimes it isn't very helpful. obviously some of my altars wish that they could do things that I don't necessarily want to do. Like, for example, if Scarlett was her own person in her own body, told me she would rather be go into special effects makeup. And I have altars who would rather do this or that, different than what I want to do, which can make it hard. And I have obviously altars that deal with trauma and deal with mental illness, depression, things like that, which can make it hard to do things like in schoolwork, and can make it hard to get to school sometimes, make it hard to do things that I need to do to succeed. But at other times, sometimes I'm just not in a place where I can do what I need to do, and my altars will get there, get it done, and support me. So it can be a benefit, and it can make things harder sometimes as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, because I was just wondering how that would unfold. And when somebody is out, let's say it's you and you're the one in control, can the other altars see and feel and experience what you're doing, or where do the altars go when you're not in control and someone else is? Where do you go? Can you see what's going on?
Yes. So we experienced something known as co-consciousness, which is something that we didn't always have, but we've developed through therapy. So basically, when an altar is not out and in control, they're in a place known as the inner world, and for us, that's a mansion. And it's just as real as this world is. I can interact with them, and everybody has their own body in that world, all the altars. And we can interact, and we each have our own room in the mansion and things like that. And there's a room in that mansion known as the viewing room. And when we go in that room, we can see what's going on outside and talk to the person who's in control, but we can't be in control of what's going on. And that's known as co-consciousness.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. Now, how much time does each person get? How do you exchange roles? So an altar doesn't cut someone off when they're doing something?
That's something that we're still working on. Mm-hmm. It's definitely improved a lot. But we do have, for example, I have a 6-year-old altar named Kay, and if she hears something that she likes, like if she hears somebody talking about like puppies or, one of her favorite movies or something, or she hears somebody talking about candy or she sees candy, then a lot of times she'll just kind of jump out, push her way out without asking, which is something that we're working on. And obviously with having child altars is kind of similar to having children in general. You have to set out rules for them. They don't always listen, and you have to boundaries and things like that.
That makes sense.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I was gonna say that does make sense, and I'm just curious. So obviously you're working out. You're trying to communicate effectively. How everyone goes in and out. Have you ever felt pressure? You've been judged. You've from friends, from family. How has that been? Because I feel like you're so loving and you're working on your communication with your altars, but how's the communication been with other people?
A lot of the communication that I've got was very supportive. I have quite a few friends that are very nice. At the beginning, a lot of my friends didn't necessarily understand, and that was because I think we were all, in our late teens and things like that. So it can be a little hard to understand mental illness, especially a mental illness that is sensationalized and not as well understood. Mm-hmm. I did have a few friends that didn't understand. I had one friend that would call my altars characters that I kind of had to phase him out of my life just because it was a negative influence in my life. Mm-hmm. But for the most part now, all the people in my life do understand once I explain it to them. I usually wait a few months before explaining it to friends, just to let them get to know us without just seeing the DID.
Yeah. And I know this all stems from trauma, so obviously if we could go back in time and take that away, we absolutely would. But then you wouldn't have had these altars, and so sometimes I wonder, because you are so good at communicating with us about it, would you go back and change things if you could?
That's a really hard thing to think about. Probably emotionally, I want to say yes, because I would rather have not had to deal with all those things. And it makes me very angry and upset that I did. However, at the other side, I wouldn't want to get rid of my alters. I don't know who I would be. I would be a completely different person if I didn't go through these things, and that's scary to think about too.
Well, so, we love who you are. Not. Yeah, I mean, we love who you are today, and we love all the alters, you know? And I'm so proud of you, just so you know, and you're courageous, you're giving, and just keep sharing your story, because we've learned a lot from you today. So, hands down, I'm glad you're here with us today, and thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And everybody, when we come back, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, that's 800-333-0001. And that was Amelia Joubert. And honestly, what a great interview. Thank you so much, Amelia, for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us. And we'll be right back.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We are
your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
To communicate effectively is crucial when we're looking to navigate through life and really express ourselves, to be not limited by our fears, our anxieties, or anything that makes us feel less than. To go out there and live life in a big way, you want to communicate your dreams, your goals, and your fears and your anxieties so that you can navigate and get to where you want to go on time. It's all about living life full out and going after your dreams.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a certified life coach, Nancy can help you to overcome challenges and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
All right, here we are, last segment of the show. This goes so fast for me every week. I can't believe it. But this is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about communicating effectively. And I hope throughout the show you've thought about where in your life you'd like to get stronger at conveying, what it is that you need, your fears, your wants, your desires. I know even for me, being legally blind, I can't rely on seeing. I can't necessarily always do certain things for myself. So I have to communicate with people on what I need. If I can't see something on the computer, a lot of times people will say, oh, look over there, or it's right there, or point on that. And I think to myself, the theirs and the that's, I don't see them. I don't know what they're pointing at. So then I have to communicate with them, okay, from the right-hand corner, do I go over 2 inches, 1 inch? Do I go down 3 inches? To find that location on the computer where I need to click on. Again, it's all about strategy. It's all about communicating effectively with what I can and cannot see. Now, apply that to your life. Maybe you have a visual impairment too. Maybe you are heartbroken from a relationship and you might need to tell somebody what you need in terms of better communication, or someone nurturing you and loving you for who you are. And maybe it's a career. Maybe you need to communicate with your boss more effectively, that you'd like to be challenged, that you want to be promoted where you might need more support. But the great thing is, when we take the risk, when we step out there, when we say what we want, even if it feels scary, the reward is that you might just get it. You might get what you need. You might get that promotion. You'll never know unless you try. We're going to go to the phone lines now and take another call. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. How can we help you today?
My question is that I used to be in a field that paid very well but wasn't reliable. Since that time, I've made a career change. The new job is steady, but the income isn't as high, and I have a tough time making ends meet because of that. I know that, the support of my family is my utmost concern, but I am totally unsatisfied. I feel stuck, and I'm frustrated.
Yeah. I can actually feel it. When you said frustrated, you meant it, right?
Yes.
You are. And can I ask you, what did you do when you made the really good money, and what are you doing now?
I was in a high-tech field for software development, but I was an entrepreneur and had my own operation.
Got it.
And I had issues with getting contracts, getting people to pay me, all kinds of issues. And I'd get a lot of money very quickly, but then it would die off for months on end, and then I'd get more.
Sure. And what do you do today? It
wasn't reliable.
Right. And what do you do today?
And today I work at a package sorting facility, which is a lot of manual work. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of hours to work, and it's reliable pay, but it's not high enough.
Well, let me ask you this question: if you could do something as a career today, because you've grown through both of those experiences, you've evolved, you've grown, you've learned what you want. If you could do something today and take out of it how much you would get paid, take out of it the hours, just truly what you would enjoy doing, what would that be?
A good question. It'd probably be something dealing with people.
Okay.
Probably helping people more than trying to do a job for pay. I get enjoyment out of working with people. More so than I do, working a living to pay for stuff.
So here's what I want you to think about past today, because we can't go too deep on it here in the call, but I want you to think about passionately what would excite you. What would be those group of people that you'd like to serve? And in what talent, what skill do you have that you could give a solution to their problem? And then I do want you to consider meeting people on LinkedIn or finding a professional in your area. And I want you to connect with them on the phone or take them out to coffee. And I want you to kind of piece together how you can jump from the lily pad you're on now to where they are. Because I believe that one should never settle. One should never be stuck. Now, the job you have now served its purpose. And it does serve your purpose until you get that next opportunity. But it sounds like to me that you're a go-getter. You're just kind of stalled right now. And I think that if you start to look at other options, doors will open for you. You just have to be willing to open that door and look at those options. Is that something you can do?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to say I believe in you. I don't even know you, but I believe in you because the vigor and the passion that you have in your voice, you will never let yourself down, and you will never let your family down. It's just the way you're built. So you're a risk taker. You're an entrepreneur at heart. Open that door, walk through it, see what else is out there so you're not in this land of being stuck. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a great day. And I want to thank everybody who listened to today's show because it's all about communicating effectively. We're not stuck. We're not out of options. We just have to consider what's possible and what do I need to do to get to where I want to be. That puts strategy together, which you can do. I want to thank everybody listening. I want to thank our family here at the Living Full Out Studio. We have Annalie and Mindy and Rich and Riley and you name it. We're just here every week to motivate you. Go ahead and go to livingfullout.com. Click on our radio show tab if you want to hear this show again or any of our episodes. Again, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com, and we'd love to hear from you. Here's to you living your life full out and having a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.